On what should have been a tranquil Saturday morning, I found myself standing barefoot on my farm at 9:12 a.m., clad in flannel pajama pants and clutching a coffee mug inscribed with "Don't even." The scene before me was anything but peaceful. Cows adorned with balloons, one sporting a glittery pink bow between its horns, another wearing a party hat labeled Spinach Sovereign. I wish I could claim this was a fabrication, but the absurdity was all too real. What truly shattered my composure in my mug was the sight of a 12-foot inflatable figure of Melissa wying beside my barn, complete with a sash proclaiming chief visionary. Adding to the chaos, a remix of Taylor Swift and tractor sounds blared from what was once my irrigation trailer. I hadn't invited anyone, nor had I sanctioned this madness. Yet there at Wasami Field, my land, my cows, now Melissa's spectacle. Before I recount how this escalated into a revenge tale involving whying tow trucks and of why Ral Reddit post, allow me to provide some context. My name is Daniel, and I reside on the last operational farm within a community overtaken by a homeowners association, HOA, 3 years ago, following my grandfather's passing. I inherited his farmhouse, land, and a deep-seated appreciation for solitude. I cultivate organic produce, maintain a modest herd of dairy cows, and generally keep to myself until the HOA, under Melissa's leadership, decided my alfalfa field was the perfect venue for a crystal-infused champagne gala. The HOA had been a minor nuisance until Melissa ascended to its presidency. She epitomized the stereotype: voluminous hair, oversized sunglasses, and a demeanor that could deter even the boldest raccoon from scavenging. Her agenda centered on aesthetic enhancement and community brand elevation, which translated to eradicating anything rustic, unrefined, or remotely earthy. She once deemed my tractor an eyesore, proposing I repaint it Taupey tractor in taupe. So when I heard thumping music and saw what resembled an influencer extravaganza spilling across my property, I assumed it was a misunderstanding, perhaps a misdirected wedding or an errant bachelorette party. But no, there stood Melissa, mimosa in hand, addressing a crowd of bedazzled yoga enthusiasts about her dream project's launch. Approaching cautiously, I sidestepped a child chasing a chicken with a glitter wand. Melissa spotted me and beamed as if I were a curious onlooker, not the rightful owner of the land her event was defiling. "Oh, good, you're here," she exclaimed. "Isn't this fabulous?" I responded measuredly. "Melissa, why are there 100 people on my property?" She blinked, feigning surprise. "Oh, honey, it's just a small launch party for my new wellness brand, Spinach Va Serenity." The HOA approved it. I didn't. I countered, my voice rising. She sipped her drink dismissively. "Well, technically, it's adjacent to the community park, so it's ambiguous." I nearly choked. "Ambiguous? Melissa, you parked a margarita truck on my asparagus beds." She waved a manicured hand. "Don't be so rigid, Daniel. You weren't using it. It's only for a few hours. Be a team player." That's when I noticed the parking chaos. Dozens of cars strewn across my north lot, tires sinking into the soft spring soil. A Tesla teetered in a drainage ditch. A Mercedes idled beside my water pump. Someone had tied bunting to my scarecrow, turning it into a selfie prop. I retreated before I uttered something regrettable, stormed to my porch, and dialed my cousin, Ethan. "Hey," I said, "still running that towing company?" He chuckled. "What did they do this time?" "Oh, you're going to love this," I replied. As I awaited Ethan's arrival, I watched Melissa prance about in a flower crown, distributing jars of Starlight Elixir and preaching empowerment. Guests cheered at every mention of entrepreneurial liberation. One attempted to feed a goat a vegan brownie. The goat appeared personally affronted. My anger morphed into insult she hadn't even asked, assuming my consent or irrelevance. People like Melissa mistake kindness for weakness and silence for permission. Not this time. I was prepared to retaliate decisively. Ethan arrived an hour later with 3 tow trucks. He stepped out, sunglasses on, sipping from a thermos. "You weren't kidding," he remarked, surveying the pandemonium. "This looks like a suburban mom's Woodstock." I pointed. "Start with the Tesla." He grinned. "With pleasure." The first tow was almost theatrical. Chains clanked, hydraulics hissed, and a guest in stilettos shrieked as her luxury vehicle was hoisted like a toy. Melissa rushed over, eyes wide. "You can't do this. This is illegal." I produced a folder. "Actually, here's my deed, the property map, and the no trespassing sign you uprooted." She lunged for the papers. I pulled them back. Every car here is trespassing, and everyone is getting towed. Her expression cycled through shock, rage, confusion, and panic. I'll call the HOA. I'll call the police. Please do, I replied. Guests scrambled. One woman wept because her SUV contained her VY soundboard. Another man offered Ethan $200 to spare his Jaguar. Ethan just smiled and waved the tow truck onward. As chaos erupted, I stood back, arms crossed, watching the field clear, vehicle by vehicle. Melissa stood amidst it all, jaw slack, eyes glistening, her party crown tilting like a sinking ship. This was merely the beginning. They thought they could exploit my land for free. They were about to pay, one tow at a time. While Ethan's crew worked, I summoned reinforcements. First, I called Sarah, my tech-savvy neighbor who despised the HOA after they fined her for non-conforming wind chimes. She answered instantly. I need your help, I said. Did they finally do something lawsuit-worthy? Oh, Sarah, I replied, they're hosting a ticketed event on my farm, charging $100 a head via Eventbrite. After a pause, I heard furious typing. Send me the link. I'll dig. Next, I contacted George, my retired Navy veteran neighbor, eager for a showdown with the HOA since Melissa criticized his oversized American flag. They really stepped in it now, he growled. Want me to bring my drone and film it for Eve Wydenke? Absolutely, I said. Bring the good camera. By the time George arrived, the scene was a retreat in disarray. Cars were hoisted systematically. Partygoers made frantic calls, some to rideshares, others perhaps to their astrologers. The air reeked of patchouli, vegan hot dog fumes, and mounting panic. Melissa stomped about, trying to corral her fleeing guests. Sarah texted me a link. Melissa's Spinach Vos Serenity Grand Launch, $100 per ticket, touting empowerment and wellness, with over 150 RSVPs. She profited thousands on my land without permission, commercial exploitation disguised as community spirit. Sarah messaged again. Found vendor info, 3 businesses under her LLC selling herbal brews, aura sketches, and starstone sessions. Want me to flag it for tax violations? Please do, I replied. Screenshot everything. Ethan's team operated like a well-oiled machine, while George's drone captured it all, narrating sardonically. Here we have the rare Range Rover in an unnatural habitat, a private beet field, being gently returned to captive Waitai. Guests tried to salvage what they could. One woman waved cash, yelling about spiritual oppression, but Ethan's crew remained unfazed. Melissa's meltdown peaked when the DJ packed up, cutting the music mid-mantra. Silence revealed the event's true soundtrack, wails, arguments, and the satisfying clunk of towed cars. She stormed over, mascara streaking like war paint. You've ruined everything. This was my moment, my brand launch. On someone else's land, I reminded her calmly, without permission, without a lease, without sense. I didn't think you'd care, she snapped, then faltered. I mean, it was for the community. You charged $100 a head, Melissa. That was for gift bags filled with gravel, pamphlets, and expired supplements, I said, holding one up. Those were artisanal starstones, she cried. They're pebbles, I retorted. 2 officers arrived shortly after. Melissa spun a tale of illegal towing and harassment, but I presented my deed, drone footage, and Sarah's screenshots. After 10 minutes, one officer turned to her. Ma'am, this is private property. You had no legal right to hold an event here. Her face fell. But the HOA approved it. The HOA can't authorize events on private farmland, the other officer clarified. She surveyed the half-abandoned field tip tents, discarded kombucha coolers, broken wind chimes, and shrank visibly. You're lucky he isn't pressing charges, the officer added. She glanced at me, not with anger, but fear. I nodded toward the final turn Mercedes, still running, windows down. I'll fix this, she whispered. We can make this right. But it was too late. This was about consequences, boundaries, and a quiet farmer fighting back. And we were just beginning. The silence after the chaos was its own reward. Tire marks scarred the field, a yoga dome sagged in the corner, and a goat chewed a spinach royalty sash, but the intruders were gone. Melissa lingered at the property's edge, pacing with her phone, attempting to spin the narrative to HOA board members. George's drone had it all recorded, and Sarah had compiled a dossier, timestamps, contracts, even video of a vendor burying unsold lavender wands in my compost. I didn't expect accountability from Melissa. Humility wasn't her forte. She retreated to the HOA clubhouse with her frazzled entourage, marching like a defeated general feigning strategy. That evening, a friend texted, "Emergency HOA meeting at the clubhouse, things are going nuclear." I typically avoided their gatherings. Melissa once fined me for a VY Cybele garden hose, but tonight, I had leverage. The room buzzed with tension, a makeshift courtroom drama. Melissa stood at the front, in damage control mode, presenting a PowerPoint titled Community Vision, Lessons in Progress. I sat in the back with George and Sarah, who had the drone footage ready. Melissa spun the event as a noble misstep, claiming the land's use was a gray area and the parking a miscommunication. The treasurer, Tom, interjected, "Melissa, you said the farmer agreed and was donating the space for a tax write-off." News to me. Sarah nudged me to wait. Melissa faltered. "He didn't exactly say yes, but he's never said no before." A board member accused her of forging approval. "I anticipated," she snapped. Sarah projected the footage, Melissa, mimosa in hand, saying, "He won't mind." I didn't ask, "But what's he going to do? Call the tow trucks?" The room turned to me. I stood. I did. I called 3. Melissa paled. I approached the front with my folder. "This is my deed. The field is 100 Fan Tram Privatino shared use, no easement. Today was illegal. I've got video, ticket sales screenshots, and enough evidence to make this HO and national cautionary tale." Silence followed. Tom proposed. "I move to remove Melissa as president, effective immediately, pending legal re-VYEW." The vote was unanimous. Melissa stormed out, stunned. Tom later apologized, promising to cover cleanup costs. I nodded. "Just keep your meetings off my land." Outside, under the stars, George, Sarah, and I savored the VY Toronot for her squirming, but for accountability delivered VY a tow trucks and records. As I reached my truck, I spotted Melissa's Mercedes parked defiantly on my line. I called Ethan, one more for the grand finale. His truck's lights blinked as her legacy was hauled away, a diesel-fueled message: "Don't cross the quiet landowner unless you're ready to lose." The next morning, Melissa knocked, dressed in faux humility, clutching a clipboard. "Daniel," she began, "I wanted to personally apologize. Some lines were crossed, but we're stronger together." Cut the spiel, Melissa. "What do you want?" She sighed. "The HOA is meeting tonight to draft a response. There's media attention. Sarah's footage and my Reddit post had gone viral. Headlines like Farmer Toe's HOA party and Wellness Guru's event uplifted by trucks spread fast. We want to resolve this peacefully," she pleaded. "No lawyers, no drama." "You escalated it," I said, closing the door as she stammered about harmony. That evening, a flyer in VY led me to a community forum. Curiosity won. The room was packed: neighbors, silent voters, cookie enthusiasts. Melissa sat sidelined, diminished. Tom apologized publicly, admitting no approval existed, and the HOA faced liability. I stood, detailing the damage-trampled fields, goats-fed plastic, Melissa's marketing ploy. "I've listed the footage for a case study on HOA overreach," I added. Gasps erupted. Melissa snapped, "You can't." "I did," I replied. Tom moved to bar her from the board permanently. Every hand rose but hers. She muttered, "I built this community." "No," I said. "You built a brand on others' backs." I left, skipping refreshments. Melissa's Real HOA Truths group flopped online for members, including her dog's profile. She sent a cease and desist, claiming defamation. I laughed, forwarding it to Sarah, who memed it into virality. With cold, methodical truth, I'd turned her mess into poetry, permanent, unerasable. And I was just warming up.